Welcome to my series about all Chopin's music. Today I'm all black, so that means we have the Funeral March from Sonata number 2, movement 3. As you'd already know, hopefully, if you listen to my other videos about other movements, Chopin in a way was inspired by Beethoven by writing the sonata. The whole sonata starts in the same way that Beethoven starts his last sonata. We know for sure that Chopin had in his repertoire Beethoven's Sonata Opus 26. In this sonata of Beethoven, the third movement has a funeral march. Chopin played this sonata many times. So let me first play a little bit this funeral march from Beethoven's sonata, just to compare and to have the same kind of inspiration that Chopin probably had when he decided to put this march into the sonata number 2. Okay, I think that's enough. Funeral March sulla morte d'un eroe, so it means to the death of a hero. Okay, this was what Chopin knew. And actually I can find a lot of similar things in Chopin's sonata. We can compare them. There are certain passages that are very similar. Let's now listen to Chopin's sonata, to Chopin's Funeral March. The whole march starts from a chord that when we hear, we immediately feel cold. Why? Well, I have to explain to you, because this is genius. Chopin was really a very good composer. This is a chord. You know, chord usually has 3 notes. I mean, it's built on the 3 notes of the scale. When we have a scale, 8 notes, we take every second note and we have a chord. Of course, there are many different options of making chord, but this is the basic. Let's talk about basic things now. The chord has 3 notes, as I said. The first note from the scale, the third note from the scale, and the fifth. Or the second, the fourth, the sixth. Or the third, the fifth, and the seventh. And so on. But always every second. And in the basic version, of course. And here, Chopin doesn't use all 3. He resigns from the second. So in the middle, this chord is empty. That's why we hear it so cold. We don't have the middle. So this is a symbol of emptiness. And the symbol of emptiness. What do we have in a funeral march? What do we have in a funeral? We feel empty because we lost somebody. This music is very, very touching, and I'm sure all of you know very well this piece. And I'm sure many of you lost somebody in this life, because that's a life. This is the biggest mystery of our life. And the biggest sadness is to lose somebody we love. This funeral march, they say, was probably written by Chopin for his own funeral. And that's because he wrote it when he was terribly sick. He was deadly sick. Thanks God he didn't die that time, but he thought he is going to die. But also we can look at this funeral march as the funeral march for all the Polish soldiers and heroes who were fighting for the independence of Poland and who died fighting in this uprising, maybe. We don't know it for sure. We can only imagine, think and guess. Okay, so now, as this video should be, let's do the analysis of this sad piece. Everything starts from repeated notes. This is motif taken from Scherzo. Do you remember the Scherzo? Repeated 1 note. Here's the same kind of motif. But this is not yet the theme. In the left hand we have symmetry bells. All these chords don't have the third, so they are empty. That's why they sound so terrible. They sound so sad and cold. So, repeated note with bells. And then starts the first theme. This theme is repeated, this motif, this phrase is repeated with another voice and they sing together. Then we have the first new motif, which is the scale going up. The scale going up, well, I found it also in the Beethoven a little. We have here something like this. There is this moment. And it's not a coincidence. The scale going down always symbolizes a pain. Here we have this first expression of pain in this. Repeat it. And back to the beginning. And again pain. And beginning. And now, excuse me, this is then we came to forte. We also had forte in Beethoven, if you remember. And this forte brings the new phrase, the melody which has a kind of contrast. Here we will have a dialogue of two motifs. One motif will be going up, another will be going down with the scale again. Let's listen to this. And then another motif. Then we have, in the left hand we have drums. So maybe this is a funeral of a hero, of some soldier. And back to the beginning. Idee fix. The motto. Again. And again the beginning. So in a way we can say that this has a rondo construction, a construction of a rondo, when the refrain, the main melody is this, and is returning all the time and is separated by different melodies, full of pain, very sad. And then we have the middle part which was criticized by many musicologists and composers. They were saying that it completely doesn't suit here. It doesn't suit to the funeral march at all. Indeed, it's in major and it brings us some kind of light, some kind of peace, even maybe the feeling of happiness. I play for you this for now, and I think this music just speaks for itself. But let's listen to this first and then let's talk a little about it. And this is the end of part A. And then part B, sorry. And then part A comes back. This music, as I said, needs no words. In fact, I should just close the camera and let you contemplate this by yourself. But since I'm doing this analysis, maybe it's worth to say a few words. Because these videos also are to be a little subjective, so I can share with you my thoughts. That's why I think you are here and you listen to me. Well, there are many theories about this. I must say, when I myself play this in public, this is always deeply touching for me. And I'm always happy, actually, when I play this middle part. Because this middle part is the moment when the sadness and emptiness and suffering is so much that we play in major. We have no more words. We don't cry. We don't have this terrible feeling. We just accept everything. We can also think about it as a kind of thinking with a hope about the next world, the world after death. We have a hope that we will live forever in a better world. Maybe that's a prayer, or maybe that's a kind of portrait of his fiancée Maria Wodzinska, and because the funeral and funeral march is in fact the funeral of Chopin's marriage and of Chopin's hope to be ever married. We don't know, because Chopin never told us. But what we do know is that this middle part of the funeral march is one of the most beautiful melodies, one of the most beautiful music ever written by a man. I think. And I think it's very objective. It just makes us clean inside. I think that it's very good if you contemplate this yourself. Also, another thing which I would like to tell you is that I read some words of some, I think, Chopin's students, who wrote that Chopin himself played this middle part heavenly, and that Chopin played this middle part almost like only the best Italian singers could sing the melody. And this made me think that maybe this Chopin wanted this middle part to be sung, to be played like an aria, like a song. And then it means that we have to play it a little bit with a little bit rubato, like Italian singer. Imagine Italian singer now. But anyway, let's go to the part A again. This part A again, it's a little bit different because Chopin writes a long crescendo, and I like to make here the impression of a very long crescendo, starting from as soft as possible, so that we can have this image of a very the funeral march of people in the funeral very far away, and they are approaching us and coming closer and closer. Listen. And louder. Louder. And louder. And louder. Chopin writes piano. One last time, going up. Nothing else, just the same motif that ends. Then we have the chord, and from this chord the last movement starts. The last movement, about which I'm going to talk in my next video. Thanks for watching, and sorry that it is so sad, But that's not my fault, that's Chopin's fault. That's how he felt. It's an extremely sincere piece. It's a witness of the worst time of Chopin's life. Thank you, and see you again.